Carol, Alan, a wonderful holiday planned in Phuket. What was the reason for the trip?
I wanted to experience being overseas. Carol's travelled extensively and it was my first time. So I wanted to experience being out of Australia, first of all, before going to Egypt for the big trip.
Let's talk through the day. It was a boat ride out to the islands. Sounds pretty simple to me. What happened?
Went to Phi Lay, and then we went to Monkey Island. You sort of get your position on the boat, so we were up the front, wind in the hair, enjoying the sunshine. We knew that there might be some rain around, but we weren't expecting the degree of change in the weather. The waves started getting higher and higher, and I guess as you see surf boats launching off waves as they're heading out from a beach, it was that similar effect. And you could count the seconds as you launched off and then till you landed. There was one significant silence, and Alan even said, brace yourself, this is going to be a big one.
And we were dropping enough that I could say that as the boat fell through the air.
So Carol, you came smacking back down to the seat.
I just slammed down on the seat and I knew instantly that I had pain and just knew instantly that something major had happened. So I just then laid on my back with my knees up because I knew that was a good position for the spine. But Alan had to lean over me for the next hour and a half to stop me rolling off the seat as we still were slamming.
There were obviously very big seas around Phuket on that particular day because we had another patient on the same ferry as Carol who also had a spinal injury, although not as severe as Carol's. But also needed to have treatment for it. And on another ferry at the same time at sea, also in Phuket, we had a third patient develop a spinal injury as a result of the heavy seas.
They finally got you back to port?
Yeah,
the
an hour and
ambulance
a half
is waiting.
later, I think it was.
And then I was very relieved to see the ambulance officers there with the proper litter that breaks in half for spinal injuries and is slid under the body. So once I saw that, I thought, oh good, they've got the right gear. That was reassuring. And then they were very, very capable in the way that they were preparing her before moving her at all.
Alan, when did it occur to you, Carol's taken care of, I need to check that we have significant travel insurance?
When we booked the trip, the travel agent, they had the brochures on the desk in the agency, and I was taken through what it meant, and even to the explaining to me about the little cards that you get to put in your wallet if something does happen. And I'm very glad that I listened to that bit.
So it was in Missionary Hospital Phuket that we contacted Cover-More, thinking we need help here, and we had calls back immediately.
Customer care spoke with the Mission Hospital where Carol had been admitted, found out that she had a burst fracture of her first lumbar vertebra, which is a pretty serious injury, and if it's not treated appropriately, Carol could have ended up being paraplegic.
Doctor in Phuket was wanting to operate in Phuket, and I rang, or Chris rang from Cover-More saying, and I described to her, and she very positively and firmly said, under no circumstances consent to surgery in Phuket, we will get you out. Which was just what I needed.
It was, yeah.
We do a lot of work in Thailand, clearly, because it's a very popular space for Australian leisure tourists. We do a lot of work in Phuket. The Mission Hospital was not a hospital that we were familiar with, and we weren't willing for her to have very tricky neurosurgery in a hospital that we weren't familiar with. We contacted our medical contacts in Bangkok. We have an Australian doctor working in one of the best hospitals in the world in Bangkok, in Bumrungrad Hospital. It's a hospital where we would have patients every day of the week.
To hear that strength on the end of the phone, an affirmation really that everything was going to be okay, there must have been that point then where the weight of the world came off your shoulders and knew you were in good hands?
Yeah, it was when the Retrieval doctor walked in and said, don't move, just don't move, we'll do it all.
And then you're off to Bangkok.
Yes, as I said, very professional. As a nurse, I could see that what they were doing was absolutely correct and within procedures that would be acceptable here.
How much contact did you have with Cover-More during the process?
Cover-More were in touch. They rang, I don't know how many times you had spoken to them in the interim when the retrieval was being organised, but I felt that there was always contact. There was in Bangkok Hospital for 12 days. was every second day or so, every day, if we needed anything we can do.
How are you going?
You're happy with the process, you're happy with the surgery. So it was like an old friend on the end of the line saying, are things okay, what can we do? And that they had the power to change things if it wasn't right.
We'll look after you. That was really the whole feeling. We'll look after you.
It was.
And they did.
We air ambulanced Carol up from Phuket to Bangkok, where she had the delicate spinal surgery. It was very successful. We monitored her care while she was in hospital in Bangkok, and at the time that both we and her treating doctors thought it was safe for her to travel home, organised a business class seat with a medical escort to bring her back to Australia.
Carol, having travelled extensively, insisting on travel insurance to Alan when he was booking the trip. Have you ever thought what would have happened if you didn't have insurance?
For me, it's been a lesson in the wisdom of the advice.
Well, when I found out how much it was, I gasped. I thought, it would have cost $60,000, and where do you find? I don't have $60,000. I would have had to remortgage the house.
Is there anything you'd like to say to Cover-More customer care?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. It really was so much better than it could have been without that support.
Travelling overseas is great, but it sure is comforting to know there's insurers with Cover-More's level of care and expertise just in case the unexpected happens.